doing? Today we are going to be finishing, well, working more on this Hammerhead guy. We've been working on him the last two streams, and I just want to do more full characters, so sometimes it's going to take multiple streams to get him done. So, anyway, welcome. Let's get going. I need to assess this and see where I'm at and where I need to take it. So, all right. And let me know if you're here and if you can hear me and if everything's good. And we'll get rocking on this guy. We got to make him some breather holes, whatever these are. Give him some good eyes here. And just kind of work it out. Let's see. I think I'm going to pose his hand and, hey, what's up, Neil? How's it going? And get this lightsaber in there, so he can be holding on to it. I think I need to raise this arm just a bit to get it up over his head. But let's go ahead and build that saber right now. Why not? Okay, so let's do a append. And I'm just going to append, just, it doesn't matter, just some shape. And then make sure I have that shape selected. Go down to this primitive brush. If you have the gizmo showing like this, and you have a shape here, if you click one of these shapes up here, it's going to replace this one, like so. And then you can use that shape instead. So this is the one we're going to start out with. I'm going to actually send it home. It looks like it is home. Let's see. Let's check out the floor. Yep, it is. Okay. So let's shrink this down. I'm going to solo it so we can see what we're doing here. And then I'm not exactly sure what or whose lightsaber this is, so we're just going to make it up as we go. Okay, we're going to start with the cylinder. And looks to be something like this. We're just going to make a whole bunch of cuts in it, and then extrude a bunch of bits. So yeah, it should go pretty quick. I could make a whole bunch of cylinders and just kind of stack them like coins, but I think I'm just going to use the Z modeler brush. Just kind of go in there and make some cuts. Here, let's just kind of speed it up. And I'm going to do insert edge loop, but I'm going to click on multiple edge loops. And then you can click and drag and just make a bunch. So something like this. That way we already have a whole bunch ready to go. And then we can just kind of pick and choose what we want. But when I did this, you'll notice it creased all the edges in between those polygroups. So I'm going to hit uncrease all, and then I'm going to group by normals, which takes anything beyond 45 degrees and puts it in its own group. And then we're going to kind of pick and choose what we want. Here, let's turn on perspective so we can actually see what we're doing. And if I hover over a face, you'll see it's kind of hard to see, but there's this little orange line coming off of the center, and that's a directional indicator. It tells you which direction it's going to go. So I'm going to kind of hover over this square, but make sure it's pointing to the right. And then I'm going to go to polyloop, which is right here, and then click on it. Yep, and so it creates a new polygroup around the circumference of the thing. So we're going to do that. Then I'm trying to see, here, let's zoom in on this so we can see better. I'm going to put it down here and zoom in on it. So it's kind of out of the way. But it looks like we have one ring, space, ring, space, ring. So we got 3 rings. We'll do it again here and here. So those will be those 3 rings right there. And then for these down here, looks like we have one on the bottom. So if you want to do a different polygroup, you click and hold, And then you start to tap Alt and it will start to cycle through colors. That's how you get new colors. Okay, and then a space. And then it looks like there's a bunch stacked together, like 5, 6, 7 of them. I don't know. It's probably all the way up underneath his hand. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. And I'm going to space this out. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just leave one space. But I'm going to do every other here. So I'm going to click. I'm going to change this. And we're going to go every other. I'm just going to do it up as high as makes sense. And then I'll leave a gap here between the purple ones and these orange ones here. Whoops. This one and this one. So then I'll leave a gap. Okay. And now I want to change these green ones to something else. Sure, teal works, I guess. And you got to be careful with that little orange line, because if I were to aim upwards, it's going to go like that. Zoop. And that's not what I want. So. Okay, we'll go here. One more. There we go. Okay. So now that we have those, actually I want to, if you want to eyedrop a polygroup color from something, you just click on the polygroup that you want, hold it, and then add shift. And see, it goes back to that color. Now I have that color loaded. So when I do this one, because I want to keep this one for that empty space, and I put that back to that light green. Okay. So if you're here, say hello. You guys are awfully quiet today. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. We're just continuing to work on this Hammerhead guy. I'm building his lightsaber. So now I'm going to go to the Z modeler. We're gonna hover over a square, and then we're going to say extrude, and then we're going to click polygroup all. So I want everything in that, within that polygroup. Hey Raveny, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Just joined, welcome. All right. So now I can just click and drag, and it's going to pull this out like so. And there's my extrusion. And then we can do these three up here. Whoop, like this. And then we'll do the oranges. And I'm not going to pull those out as far. And then we'll do the greens. And they're kind of even. That's interesting. It's giving me like the same. I wonder if I can add a different polygroup to these. Yeah, I can. Okay, cool. If I just tapped on Alt and I assigned it a different polygroup, that's what I want, like this. Okay, so now that I have that, if I turn on dynamic subdivisions, it will do that. I need a second screen. I agree. So you can watch while you're sculpting. Great. You can also watch and listen on something like a phone or an iPad or something like that if you want. Some people do that. But yeah, so that's kind of what this looks like. I'm trying to decide if I want to put some kind of a detail on the bottom and maybe like a socket up top so it has a hole so I can put the saber into it. Okay, so you can see this colored polygroup right here. I'm going to grab my gizmo, hold down Control and tap on that polygroup, which will mask everything except for that polygroup. And I kind of want to reorient the gizmo and just center it, just to make sure it's centered. And now I can scale it down a little bit because I want it to go down inside this the lighter green polygroup area. So now if I grab this Z modeler again, extrude polygroup all, I'm just going to take it down inside like this. Not too far, just enough. And then I'm going to scale that down but I don't want to scale down this outer rim. I just want to just scale down the interior and make it sort of a cone in there. So if I 3D print this, it will it'll print well. Okay, so on the bottom, I kind of want to do the same thing, but the opposite. I just want to put a little bit of a lip, like a little detail on here. So I'm going to extrude polygroup and just kind of extrude that a little bit. And then let's turn off perspective, clear the mask. I just want to mask this bottom. And then we'll center the gizmo again. And then just scale it down to give it a bit of a bevel. Okay, now there's a few edges that I want to crease. So I want to crease this edge. So let's go crease, edge loop partial, and we might have to go around this 4 times so we get, because when you say edge loop partial, it's going to stop wherever there's a pull, and there's a 3-sided pull right here. And then if I click around this one, it's just going to crease the whole thing. So I can test it. It didn't crease because it's masked. You have to unmask it. There we go. And creasing is just going to tighten up that edge loop. So I want this to be loose, like the outer edge. You can see how it's got a nice round edge to it, and then the interior is sharp. So same with these edges. And if you can't get to it, just turn off your dynamic subdivisions. You might have to make your brush smaller, and then hover over the edge and crease it, and then turn it back on to test to see if you got it. That looks pretty good. I don't think I need to go in and crease all the ones in between each of these rolls right here. Alamo World, hi Shane, just wanted to thank you. I've learned a lot from you over the years. It's great to see you here again. Thank you very much, Alamo. I appreciate it. And I am happy to do so. I love seeing what other people have created or gone on their own adventures after learning what I have to teach. That was the kind of the thing that I wasn't expecting when I started making courses, you know, because I was selfishly doing it for myself to earn a little extra money on the side. I didn't expect for people to you know, find opportunities based off of the training that I gave them. So yeah, that's super fun. Love it. Hey Gazi, how are you? Welcome. And I'm gonna crease that edge down inside there, up here. See, these creased edges, they really help and change the look of things. So I'm pretty happy with this. And then when I get into my rendering software, I'm not sure where I'm going to render it yet. I might do it in Redshift. I might do it somewhere else. I'm not sure. But once I get it there, that's where I like to add the materials. I'll do surface painting stuff here in ZBrush, like gradients and things like that. But I'll do like actual materials like gloss and stuff like that over in the rendering engine. So I'm going to add a base color. Hit fill object, and that will fill this. Let's make the blade of the thing. I like these little zzz coming out of here, but I'm not going to sculpt those. I don't think. I might, but I don't think so. Okay, so now let's look down the barrel here and insert a cylinder. I'm going to click and drag here, and I'm going to snap it by holding down Shift. And then I'm going to split unmask points, which will make it disappear because I have solo turned on. So I'm going to arrow down so I can select it. Yeah, it's huge. We'll shrink it down once we get this figured out. Okay, I want to increase the size of that, but not too big. And then scale it up. In this direction, Z direction, it's probably about something like that. And I like my lightsabers slightly tapered. So I'm going to taper the end of it here. And then I want to round this end off. See how it's round? There's a couple ways I can do it. I could make a sphere and then stick it on there and then stitch it together. Let's do that actually, because that will give me a perfect cap on that thing. So what we're going to do is do a group by normals. And then I think it's this one is the same. Let's see. Let's drag it out and see if it's the same. Yeah, same loop count. That's what we want. Same loop count. Okay, I'm going to turn off dynamic subdivisions here for a second, and then I'm going to delete the lower half of this sphere. And how I do that is I'm just going to hide it. So it's Control plus Shift, and then if you hit Alt, it's going to get rid of whatever's underneath that red rectangle. And then I'll say delete hidden. And then I also want to delete this cap. So I'm going to clear my mask. And then holding down Control plus Shift, tap on this once, tap on it again, it's gone. And then do a delete hidden. Now you'll notice I'm using a custom menu here. This custom menu is just full of the most often used tools from the tool menu. So you'll see that my tool menu right here is mounted over here on the right hand side, but this tool menu can get extremely long, especially if I have multiple things open. It just becomes very, very long and cumbersome, and so I've compacted all of my mostly used things down into this small list. I use these things all the time, over and over and over. So I actually have a YouTube video showing you how to make a custom menu like this. If you want to go check out my YouTube video and check out that video, the link is in the description to my YouTube channel. You can go check it out. Okay, I'm going to hit double right over here. And this is also my user interface. So that's my menu, my user interface. I give those away for free over on my website. Also, a link to that is in the description if you want to go grab my brushes. You'll also get this user interface, these brushes, and this custom menu all for free. So if you want to go grab that, you're welcome to. Okay, so I'm going to mask this off again and then bring this closer down here. Actually, I'm going to bring it like right on the top and then shrink it down a little bit. Okay, I'm not sure why it looks like it's slightly off, or the end of it is slightly off, something like that. Been using your ruler for ages now that I think of it. Yeah, a lot of people really, they rely on that ruler. It's kind of funny. Even professionals, like I was just talking to Hector Moran yesterday. He has his own business and he sells STLs, and he's like, yep, I still use your ruler. I'm like, sweet, that's fun. Okay, so now I have these close, and I'm just going to use the Z Modeler brush to bridge this gap closed. So I'm going to hover over an edge and choose bridge. And I can say 2 holes like this. Okay, and then we're just going to try it. And it says, click first hole. See that? Boom. Click second hole. Boom. And it didn't work. Click first. We'll try it going the opposite way. Nope. Sometimes it works, sometimes not so much. So we're going to do it by hand, doing edges. So I'm going to click one, the other. Oh, come on. Got to make sure it's the mask is clear. And I don't have solo turned on. Oh, that's why. Okay, I got to delete that. For some reason, I had some hidden geometry that wasn't deleted. Okay, I like it when I run into problems like that because it shows you how I figure them out. And so if you run into the same problem, you'll be like, oh yeah, Shane did that, and this is how he got out of it. There we go. See that? Hidden geometry. It'll get you every time. So let's try. Sometimes when you hit Control Z, it'll bring back that geometry that you've deleted sometimes accidentally. Not that you're trying. So, okay, so now that I figured out that it was a hidden geometry, I bet we can use the 2 holes again. So let's click on this one. Click on this one. There we go. All right, cool. I don't know why it gave us a circus pattern and an extra loop, but probably because of some of these things that are selected down here. Yeah. Anyway, we can just hover on this and say insert, single edge loop. And then if I hold down Alt and click on that, it'll go away. And then I can hit group by normals. And then I want to uncrease this. Uncrease all. Okay, and now I kind of have this extra edge loop that I don't really need anymore. So I can delete that. And there's our perfect little lightsaber round cap. We have a perfect sphere. And then this bottom side has a cap, and I do want to crease that. So I'm going to say crease polygroups. That's what this is. Crease PG is crease polygroups. And it puts a little crease around there. Now when I turn on dynamic subdivisions, it looks nice. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the color off of this edge and hit fill. And then we have a blue blade now. And then we'll scale it. So let's move this reference back to where it should be, up in this corner here. Thanks, Neil. I also teach a course. It's called the 3D Character Workshop if you want to learn how to do characters like this. And I also have a mentorship. So if you're interested in either of those things, again, the link's in the description. It's just 3dcharacterworkshop.com. You can learn more about the course. And if you're interested in the mentorship, if you could just send me an email through the contact link right there, and I can tell you more about it. Okay, so I'm going to join, well, I don't know that I want to join these two just yet. But I want to move them together and have them be where they need to be. So what I can do is turn on this this multi-selection here, and then hold down Control+Shift and clear everything out like this, and then only select the 2 things I want. So I'm holding Control+Shift, I'm selecting the handle and the blade, and now I can move this gizmo down into the handle, and then I can move it. Can snap it, and it's perfectly parallel to the ground, so scale this down a little bit. I'm looking at the handle, not necessarily the blade, and then how far it's sitting above his head, and then where his hand needs to come up and meet it. So I'm probably going to pose that hand around the blade, and then I'll repose the arm to meet the hand. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. I could probably scale it out just a little bit more, but I feel pretty good about that. I think I want to scale that handle down too. So I'm done with moving selected. I can select this handle and center the gizmo in that handle, and then I'm going to move it to this end and then scale it slightly. Something like, yeah, something like that. And then grab this blade and then scale it out a little bit more. Are you sculpting to scale? I haven't been able to figure out how to set real world scale in ZBrush. Aldo, use my suggestion is to use my ruler. My ruler will help you with that. So if you check out here, let me save this. Save next. Okay. I'm going to go to this other file that has my ruler in it. This is my ruler. Hide this sphere. Okay. This ruler is quite unique in the fact that it is, I made it in Maya and brought it over here It is set to metric. And if you know how metric works, which you probably do, it has millimeters and it has centimeters, but it can also be used for meters. So you can see 1 meter high right here. So you can actually use these ticks to be, these little ticks to be centimeters. And then this, 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. So you could use it for that. If you're making characters for games, you can use this in meters. So you can go back and forth between a program such as Maya or Blender, and this scale will work because this is in meters. This is the, I worked with Joseph Drust when Joseph still worked for Pixelogic, and we came up with this this ruler file and this scene. Not only is it the ruler file, but it's the project as well. So if you turn on this floor, you can also see, it's kind of hard to see with this blue background, but there's a grid back here, and that grid is matching to the centimeters on the ruler. So that's one way you can do it. And then I also have it so you can use this to say average female height, average male height. You can kind of see those two right here and how tall they would be. And then you can match them to this ruler. But that's if you're making characters for games or film or something like that. But if you're going to be doing your character for real world 3D printing, then this ruler also works for that. And that's when you would use it in millimeters. So like the average, if you look behind me, I have a whole bunch of characters back here. But this little character like right here behind me is a Disney Infinity Ahsoka figure. And she averages about 90 millimeters tall. And so you could use this ruler to measure the height of her. And as long as you go to the 3D print hub like this, select the ruler, and then change it to millimeters, and then set this to 200 because this ruler is 200 millimeters tall. As long as you have that ruler selected, this set to 200, you can export your STLs from here, and they will be perfect as far as real world size, because you know that this ruler is real world scale, and your character will be the perfect height for what you're looking for. So just get a real ruler in the world and measure out how high you want your character, so you can see if you want it to be 90 millimeters or something like that tall, and then just scale it to that, and it will work. Okay. Does that make sense? Oh, one more thing I'll show you. You can also use the transpose tool in here to measure your model with. So basically you have your gizmo, but you can switch it over to the old transpose tool that shipped with ZBrush a long time ago. You can just click this button right here on my interface, and you'll get the transpose tool like this. And you'll see as you drag it out, you'll get these tick marks. And by default, the tick marks are set to centimeters, but you can go into preferences and go into transpose units. And then you can set the unit scale to, I think it's 10. There you go. And now you have a more ticks, and each one of these ticks is a millimeter. And then these are, I wish I could save it that way, but anyway, these ticks are centimeters and these are millimeters. Or if you're using it for game, you can use them for centimeters. So when you drag it out, if you look at the numbers on the top left, see it says 10 units. It's measuring the centimeters right now. See 10 units, and now it's at almost 20. It's like 19.99999. So you can measure with this thing. Works like a little ruler in space. So never scale the ruler. Leave the ruler alone. Don't ever scale it. Don't scale the ruler to your character. Scale the character to the ruler. Okay, or else it'll mess up this whole thing. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right, let's go back to ye old Hammerhead. And yes, he's way big. So I would have to scale him down to be a good size in this scene. And the reason he's large right now is because I use Dynamics topology, which is Sculptris Pro. And the bigger your character, the smaller your triangles will get. So that's why I scale him up to work on him, and then later on I'll scale him down to real size. Okay, can you recommend someone that teaches mentorship fantasy creature sculpt design for figures more on the realistic end? Yeah, I mentor stylized characters like what I'm doing now. Not so realistic. I'm trying to think of, I know a lot of creature modelers, but I don't know any mentors that specifically, or courses like that. You could check like on Flip Normals maybe. There might be one or two over there, but I'm not sure. I have to look. Did you by chance the Hawkeye figure of Disney Infinity? A friend gifted it to me a lot of time ago, and I just realized it might be your sculpt. No, Ian Jacobs sculpted that one. Yeah, my buddy Ian. We all used to joke about that because Ian kind of made it look like himself. Not on purpose. It just happened to look like him. And so we all kind of gave him, made fun of him for that. Let me show you. Art Station. I haven't talked to him forever. Yeah, so this is Ian. You'll see. Yeah, he didn't used to have a beard and mustache, but this is Ian right here. And here's a bunch of his characters. They're fantastic. But see the head? And see how it, oh come on. Where did his face go? I scrolled too far. Let me see if I can reload it. Yeah, see his face? Or like, Ian, did you just make yourself as Hawkeye? But anyway, it's funny. Yeah, Ian is a phenomenal modeler. He's really, really good. But these are all the ones he did. I really like this Mickey Mouse that he did. It's great. My favorite model of his, though, has got to be Doctor Strange. This is one of the last models he made. And this is, all of his sculpting experience all wrapped up into one model. It's really, really good. Yeah, it's literally him. Oh, funny. Thanks for the tips. I'll do this from now on. I'll use it for my next 3D print. Great. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of people use it, including a lot of professionals. And I can't claim the idea. I can only claim part of it. I got the idea from Gentle Giant. That's where I first saw an actual ruler inside the file. So that's where I got the idea from, but I just kind of ran with it, Okay. And I put all the tick marks and all that stuff on there, and yeah, and made it the size it was. And so, okay, I'm gonna move this hand. Let's go back to the gizmo. And we're gonna kind of pose this hand around the lightsaber, and then move the arm to meet it. We'll make some adjustments here. Okay, let's see. I think Ian's in Texas now. He was working for, I'm trying to remember the name of the company that made, what is that game that I was just looking at? The something tail. Man, I'm so horrible with names these days. Getting old sucks. Super Lucky's tail. Yeah. That's it. So, and I did some freelance for him for Playful Studios. That's the name of the company. So, and I made some of the characters. I think it's his sister, Lucky's sister. I made her for the game, and I made the boss cat. Like there's a big boss. And I made some like stylized stones for the game. I was looking to see if you can see any of them in here, but I don't think so. It kind of looks like southern Utah stones, like red rock. Anyway, yeah, it wasn't this guy. Can't really see him. I loved it on the Oculus. I haven't played it on the Oculus. I've only played it on PlayStation, I think, or was it Xbox? One of the. It was just on console. I played it, but yeah, I think it would be really fun to play in VR. Anyway, yeah, it was good. I need to get those characters in my portfolio. It's been too long. I've been updating my portfolio recently. Working on it anyway. I have like hundreds of characters and I only have like 15 or 20 in my portfolio. Okay, man. His thumb is sticking out really far. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap his hand around it like so. So his thumb can stick out from behind it like this and then wrap his fingers around it. Yeah, that's what's going on. Okay. So more like this. Maybe. I don't want to bury it too far in there. Then I'm going to get this move infinite. Pull it out like this. Almost looks like a face hugger from Aliens. Yeah. I actually rigged and animated one of those for a game attacking an army soldier. It was for Aliens versus Predator for is it Gearbox? Is that the name of the studio? Out of Oregon, I think they are. Okay. So these fingers are all in the same poly group and I don't want that. I'm going to hit auto groups like this. And then hide this first finger so I can mask the rest of the fingers. And then I'm going to bend each one down. It totally looks like a face hugger. And bring them forward. This is really tricky. This fist is kind of weird because it's doing kind of two things at once. I think I'm going to still have to roll this up and maybe make his thumb longer or something. Because it's more like maybe like this. Because this first knuckle is this is the first knuckle and it's right up front here. It should be like I had it before, like this. But then his thumb is too far back. I might just do this and then figure out what to do with that thumb. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I keep evaluating while I'm trying to do this. Hands are tricky for sure, especially to pose. Move it like this. Just kind of rotating it. I want to bend this more straight down. That means I'm going to have to extend the palm out somewhat and then bend these fingers. And this is a 2D drawing, so like the length of these fingers don't match the length of these fingers. So I have to kind of compensate a little bit. That's okay. Once we get the first finger down, then we can do the rest, figure those out. So I'm going to rotate it from here and put it back like this. You have to look at all sides. Then that made his knuckles stick way out. So, and then sometimes I'll push the fingers into whatever they're holding. I don't want to collide with it too much. Okay, let's move this one a little bit. Sorry I'm slow with this one. It's sometimes with posing you got to be a little more methodical. It takes a while. Okay, so I think his thumb has to be, his thumb is stumpy. So that's the thing I need to do, is bring it on out. Poor Hammerhead and his stumpy thumb. Okay. Make it match those fingers a little better. And we can roll it down. Let's see. I'm gonna have to fake this a little bit, but I'm gonna roll it up. And then I'll fix whatever's happening here, this busted joint that I just made. Busted up joint. Because what I'm really caring about is what it looks like from this angle. And then I fix everything else to match it like that. Kind of want it to look like this, but not occluding. Okay. And then yeah, like I said, I'll fix that later. I'll fix it in post. Okay. So let's move on to this next one. I think I'm gonna rotate all three at the same time, just to get them closer. Let's look on this side. Okay, then I don't have as far to move them when I do need to move them. Okay, so I'm gonna mask these two off. And notice how I'm using hiding and showing and masking a lot. I would say that's like a good, I don't know, 70% of posing, I would say, is masking and hiding, showing, organizing. Gonna bend this a little bit more. And I want to keep these fingers close to each other. Let's go this angle. Sometimes I should probably hide everything else so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, and I think I want to inflate these fingers. They're a little bit skinny for my taste here. I like that they're skinny, but when you're doing a fist, they need to be no air in between the fingers. See, hiding, masking, showing, moving, twisting, pulling, pop it. I'm gonna have to squish this palm, make it not so wide. And before I do this one, I want to rotate this guy this way. You just want them to be friends, all these fingers. You want them to be friends. Not very much air in between. So how is everybody today? I haven't asked that yet. What are you working on? What's good? What's new? Talk to me. Let's turn on topological. Move this last finger into place. Eduardo, no job? I'm sorry. That's not great at all. Are you sculpting at least? Working on your portfolio? I should show you guys my latest sculpt for a freelance gig that I had. A little? Good. Good. Gotta stay sane. Keep yourself busy. I joined a sculpt competition in the amateur classification. First time I won third. Nice. Second time I won first. And this year I want to go to the professional class. Awesome. I think I'm going to do some Griffin Dragon thing. I don't know. Trying poses. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. So I have to kind of explain this a little bit. Last ZBrush Summit I was at, the Lychee had a booth there. Lychee is a slicing software for 3D printing. My buddy Thomas is part of that, and he was there. He used to work for Pixelogic, their Japan division, and now he's working with Lychee. And while I was there, I was checking out their printers and their prints and stuff like that. And I overheard this guy say he was from Saratoga Springs, Utah. That's where I'm from. And I'm like, where are you from? Where do you live? And he's like, yeah, he told me again. And it just so happens he's like right down the street from me. Just lives really close. And that guy is a printing wizard. He knows resin printers like nobody I've ever seen. And I got this freelance gig doing these characters for some prototypes for some toys or collectibles, I should say. And Derek is his name, Derek from Lychee. He printed them out for me, and he did just a phenomenal job. But he also does most of the YouTube videos for Lychee. So if you go check out Lychee's YouTube channel, you'll see Derek there. And he has just tons and tons and tons of information on 3D printing and slicing and resin, you know, just all sorts of stuff. So if you want to get into that, that's a really, really good resource. But anyway, he printed out my characters, and here they are, and me. Check those out. Those are 2 of the 4. Yeah, Derek. Yep. Yeah, he printed these out for me. He's an incredible resin. I call him Resin Wizard. Yeah. So, yeah, this is Moses. This is Harriet Tubman. And I also have Joan of Arc and another one coming. But he printed this in clear so we can buff it out and make it clear. I actually modeled a wick up in there so you can paint it. And yeah, I'm sending it off to a professional painter in LA. She already painted Joan of Arc. Here, let me show you. I'll show you Moses really quick though first. Look at this, Moses. Can I zoom out? What's going on here? There we go. Are these for sale? Not yet, but they will be. Eventually, hopefully. That's the idea. So, anyway. Yeah. And he, like if you saw in the other picture, there's an alternate version of him holding a staff, or this version of him just parting the Red Sea, as it were. Let me see if I can show you Joan of Arc here. Sorry, I gotta find her 1 second. Gotta go back in time. Here we go. Let open in Paint. Open in Microsoft Paint. Okay. There we go. This is Joan of Arc painted. Yeah, so this is kind of what they'll... And again, this is a prototype. So it's 3D printed. It's not molded yet. But look how good the painting is that Mara did. And when Derek printed this out, he even captured the eyelashes. It's so fine of detail. So great. But anyway, yeah. And these are big. These are like as big as the ones behind me here. In fact, I would love to have Derek reprint the ones behind me, because they're so good. Like the prints are so good. I'd love to have it. Will there be a link to these on sale on your website? I think he's going to do a Kickstarter. I'm not sure. And when that does go live, I can promote it and let you guys know about it. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you like them. And I really, really hope it does well. There seems to be a lot of interest, so fingers crossed. Yeah, the idea is non-fictional heroes is kind of what's going on with those. And there's going to be kind of sets of them. And there's big ones and little ones. Like Disney Infinity size ones, and then big ones, like 1/6 scale, like you'd see from like Sideshow or something. Okay. See how different the fingers are? They don't really look like fingers. I need to fatten them and shorten them. But I really love the look of these. Maybe they're just too... They're kind of like... they look like ants or something. Okay. So let's kind of widen this out. I'll get them to look better. These little hot dogs. Yeah, and I'm also I'm kind of heading towards focusing more on collectibles and 3D printing for my courses and less on games. So I hope people are interested in that. Teaching people how to do their own, like say STL businesses, like selling their own STLs on like My Mini Factory or other services like that. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? There are several of my students that have already done that. Or like Patreon, or there's different options, opportunities you can set up. Or, you know, going through an actual manufacturer, like a toy manufacturing company and make your own toy line, that kind of thing. Okay, let's see. Looks like my buddy Steven Anderson just had one of his made into a toy, like a custom toy line, which is cool. Eduardo, what are you talking about would look great printed? Are you talking about this Hammerhead guy would look great printed? Could we find I need more where and how to sell than sculpting classes? Yeah, that's kind of what it would be. Okay. But sculpting classes as well. Did that grab them all? I just wanted to kind of lower this a little bit, so I don't have to go so far with this arm. Maybe more forward. Okay, let's look at it from the top. I kind of want to aim it down the same direction as his arm, but not get too close to his head. He's in danger cutting off his hammer. Okay. Don't cut your hammer off, Hammerhead. Let's take a look at his arm here. Okay, I'm going to cheat this a little bit. And I'm going to aim this gizmo down the arm so that blue arrow is pointing down the arm and centered. Oops. That way I can scale it like so. Whoop. And rotate it back. So it naturally kind of wants to, now see if I move the lightsaber to match his arm, it's going to cut into his head. So can't be doing that. So I'm going to have to roll his arm back, but then it feels uncomfortable. Like you can't really, you're not going to bend your arm that far back. So it's better to bend it at the shoulder than at the elbow. So I'm going to unmask this. Mask his other arm off. Come on now. I gotta solo it so I can snap the gizmo down here to his shoulder. Then rotate this back. I'm gonna grab my 3D mouse so I can kind of move around in space and look at it. Maybe I don't want to twist it too high like this. It starts to break his shoulder if I go too far. I think that would work. I think that's far enough without it feeling busted. Okay, maybe like this. Okay, I'm happy with that, I think. And then I'll make the sleeve match. And I'll make his hand match closer to what that is. But that's feeling pretty good, I think. Okay, let's get that saber moved. Shane, can I ask one professional question from you? The question is, what do you think of current situation of the 3D industry? Is it still worth pursuing? That is an interesting question. I want to say yes, because what I think happened with and what is happening with the industry. Are you talking specifically about, like, say, games? Like the game industry? Yeah, if you could answer that. I know there's like a 20-second delay. Or film or TV, or exactly what you're talking about there. Or collectibles, or all of it. Okay. Sorry, I feel like my delay of answer is like way delayed. Twitch is almost instant. So if you ask me a question on Twitch, I'll see it right away and answer right away. But on YouTube, it's like 20 seconds, even though I'm doing low latency. It's kind of frustrating. And eventually I'll take this arm out of the cloth so it's not inside there. But I leave it inside so I can see, and it kind of guides me to where things need to be. All of them are interesting, whether he answers or not. Yeah, game industry specifically, or special effects also. Can take, as we recently heard about motion pictures and Technicolor, such giants shutting down their offices. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, in the world of technology, things change rather quickly. Like new technologies come out, and I feel like during the pandemic, a lot of people were home watching things, playing games, basically consuming a lot of entertainment. And so the entertainment industry was booming. And I feel like they overhired, right? They're like, ooh, I just see dollar signs and we're gonna hire like crazy. So they hired a whole bunch of people. Well, now that the pandemic's over and people can go outside again, they are going outside again. And they're not consuming as much entertainment as they used to be. So I feel like that's a big part of it, a big part of the layoffs and stuff like that. But it's a pendulum, and it swings back and forth. In my entire career of 25 years, it's swung back and forth, back and forth. There's been layoffs and hires and layoffs and hires, and the industry would be booming and then it would be dry, and you can never tell. It's really hard to predict that stuff. But then with the looming threat of AI coming in, I feel like that's also a pendulum that we just have to wait out. It's, to me, it kind of feels like NFTs. You know how NFTs, like, they were like super popular for a while and they were going to be the big next thing, and now they're almost extinct. Like, they're almost a joke, right? Um, and I don't think AI is going to go the way of that at all, but I do think it's a pendulum and I do think it's going to swing. And um, I feel like the suits think that AI is going to do way more than it actually can do or could do in the future, you know? Um, yeah, I don't think so. Ravening, I don't think so, because I think it'll help, but I don't think it will do it completely, right? It's a good idea generator. Um, but I think it's still a long ways away from just fully making characters and making games and, you know, like not needing character artists anymore. So I could be wrong, but it, you know, that's just kind of my prediction. It's going to need people. So, and at least it's going to need people to clean it up, you know, because anything I've seen coming out of it is complete garbage. You know, hey, what's up, Emma? Um, so that's kind of my take on it. I feel like it's the studios are going to realize that it can't do what is has been promised. You know, kind of like with the NFTs. Um, they're going to realize it's not what it's cracked up to be, and they're going to hire a bunch of people back. That's what I think is going to happen. Um, and then if films keep doing well, um, like special effects films and things like that, they'll hit, and then they'll have to hire some more people. Like Netflix laid off a bunch of people for after a while. They were doing really great in animation, and then they had a big layoff, but now I think they're hiring people back again. Um, so it's, yeah, I don't. And then let me talk to you about 3D printing and collectibles. I feel like that's in its infancy because um, with 3D printers, they keep getting cheaper and bigger and faster and better every single year, even like throughout the year. They just keep getting better and cheaper and faster. And people are going to want to know how to print their own collectibles and toys, and or sell their own collectibles and toys like through STLs and things like that. And I feel like it's just beginning. And I think the printers are going to become like full color printers in the future, you know? So, and be able to print, you already can print in transparency. Um, yeah, and it's just people are getting into it as hobbies, like to paint them themselves. It's just kind of booming, you know, and it's just starting in my opinion. So that's kind of why I'm really really interested in it, and I'm kind of uniquely qualified just because of how many characters I've done for toys and prints. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my take on all of it. Um, yeah, like I said, I feel like games and films are a pendulum, and hiring and letting go just kind of swings back and forth. And I feel like it's swinging back now, you know, it's not crazy, but just got to be careful with selling some prints from popular IPs. Yes, very, very smart, Emma. I don't sell STLs. Well, I don't really sell STLs, but I specifically don't sell STLs that are tied to a license. Like yeah, like this, I wouldn't feel comfortable about selling Hammerhead because Disney would come after me probably, you know. So I'd have to sell some of my own IP or something I've commissioned or something like that. But thanks Tristan, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. How you been? I've already been asked to print horrible AI models. Yeah, boo. And I see myself fixing fatal polygon counts, retopologizing technical stuff instead of the fun part. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they think you can just like clean that up, and it's just it would take less time to just sculpt it yourself and do it right, you know, rather than just trying to fix garbage. But like I said, I feel like AI is going to have its place, and I feel like that place is an idea generator, or a almost like you would use it as a reference, just like you would use an image as a reference. Um, you can export out like that. Right now, it just makes point clouds. It doesn't make great geometry. It makes a mess. And so you could bring that mess into your into say ZBrush, and start to use it as reference and clean it up and do your own version. And I've done that a couple times so far, and it's not the worst thing ever. It feels kind of crappy because it's not like exactly yours per se, but you can make it yours. You can put your stamp on it, When you say will AI replace artists, do you for the customer, or finding work in the industry? I'm talking about replacing you as an artist in the industry. I don't think that's going to happen. At least not for 3D artists. I think it could somewhat for 2D concept artists. But again, I still think you're going to need actual designers, because you can't really art direct AI. It'll just give you a whole new thing. And that's pretty frustrating. You can't just say, I like this. Can you keep this and change this? And it just doesn't work very well at all. Okay, I want to give this guy some proper eyeballs. And I also want to fix his little head flappy thing. I do think it's going to take entry level jobs, so it's going to be even more competitive. How could it take entry level jobs? I don't think that'll happen. Because then, like, if you're not training anybody new, who's gonna take over when you need juniors to train up to seniors? Because when all the seniors retire, then what? Microsoft is just replacing people. Are they replacing 3D character artists with AI? I don't think so. Maybe like accountants and stuff, but I don't know. I know it's replacing some people's jobs, but I haven't I haven't seen or heard of it replacing any character artists. That'd be really weird to me, and I don't think it would last long, and I think they would be making a huge mistake and then hiring them back later. That's my take. Because if you think about it, imagine if all jobs got replaced, then who could afford to buy? I know, yeah, you just take them out of the market, right? And then they aren't making money, so they can't. They're not going to be buying films or games. So then what? We'll all just be sitting out in the field watching robots do everything. I don't think so. And who's going to buy the robots if nobody's buying the products? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's a lot of Chicken Little sky is falling right now. Just needs to settle out. Just like NFTs, it just needs to settle down. The fear mongering will end. Yeah, we'll end up being the fatties in Wall-E. Blue is the new red. Just like floating around in chairs, eating food. Or sucking on Slurpees. That's such a good film. Ugh. Or what's the other one? Idiocracy. That one's a little too scary real. Okay, these eyes are going to be tricky. I just want to get them sort of in place so I can get that curvature from the sphere. And I'm going to see if I can actually make them work and make them make sense in the head. If you're wondering about spherical eyes and if you should try and make them work, the answer is yes, because they're so much easier to rig. Yeah, it's good to do to try and make them work. So like back here, we can just make, here let's turn it to transparent so we can kind of see what's happening here. You can just use this move tool to make him kind of held by a big eye socket. Same with this brow, just kind of bring it forward. I'm going to have to do the same to the other side. Okay, let's turn that off and see how it's working. Yeah, I think that'll work. Now that I see the eyes, I realize that what you're doing, I thought you placehold a monkey face just for fun. It was the eyes. Yeah. Yeah, like that Blender monkey face. That'd be funny. All right, I need to add some more geometry in here. Kind of makes skilled craftspeople worth more on one side, but maybe less overall jobs, more competition. But isn't that the case with most things? Yeah, Flippy Pixel. I remember when, and I was just getting into 3D animation when CG just came out, and I was the biggest fan of hand-drawn 2D animation. I loved it, right? I thought that's what I was going to get into when I was a kid. But I actually remember seeing it's called Wall-E B from Pixar, and it was on like a local news station, and I remember when I saw that, it just blew my mind. You can look it up on YouTube and see it. And John Lasseter animated that in DOS, like some other programming language with, and it was incredible to me at the time to see CG animation. It was just, it looked like nothing I'd ever seen, and I just remember the rolling over from traditional hand-drawn art to CG. And there's some traditional sculptors kind of going through that still, moving from digital clay moving from traditional clay into digital clay. And it's a transition, and I can kind of see that happening with AI, but in a different way. To me, it's just a tool. It's kind of a do it all tool and take over and but that's kind of what it looks like on the surface. But I don't feel like that's the truth. I don't feel like it's just gonna do everything, It does some things really, really, really well, but on the other hand, there's a lot of things that it doesn't. And yeah, I think we'll just kind of work through it and figure out the best use cases. But it reminds me of that a lot. It reminds me of like just adapting to the new way, History tends to repeat itself. What will inevitably happen is when enough jobs are affected, we as a collective will feel let down, and as a result, we will have the government. Kind of, Tristan. So you can also look at it like the car and the horse, too, We didn't really, I mean, horses are still around and people still own them, but it's not your main transportation anymore, But we still have to move around. What it allows us is to go further on, than what we used to be able to. And I feel like that's the same with AI. It's like all of a sudden, you can go further. So what I mean by that is, back in I'm going to totally date myself, and I've said this in the past, but back in the 80s, like thinking about like rock stars, for example, nobody really knew how to get into the music industry. It was kind of this elusive thing, and you needed all this special equipment, and it costs a ton of money. And there was these middlemen, which were like music producers, and there was just all these people involved in the and now you can produce just as good of music in your house with like your iPad. You know what I mean? It's like, and so you as a single individual have more freedom to create without having to spend an extraordinary amount of money or hire a ton of people. And I feel the same when it comes to AI. It's going to give us more opportunity to do specific things that you would traditionally need a giant studio to create. So I'm super interested in like independent developers, like say the guy who made StarCraft, or not StarCraft, Stardew Valley. It was like made by one dude, right? And there's a bunch of independently developed games like that are just made by like one or two or three, just a very small studio. And that was like impossible in the past. And so that part of it really excites me, that opportunity is available for, smaller teams. You don't have to have a gigantic studio to make a good game. Like some of my favorite games now are made by much smaller studios. Whoops. Like Valheim and Vintage Story and just all these very small studios. Precisely about music. It gets tiring in my music group when they chat GTP everything. These guys have musical knowledge, but they don't bother to even try anymore. I guess it's our responsibility to use these things well. See, that's the thing. Using them well. There will be people that will still want to be good at what they do and good at music and figure out what makes good music and not just spit out another random AI blah. You know what I mean? So and like somebody was saying, it's gonna make people like that really stand out. And then I also feel like AI is going to start training on itself. You know what I mean? Like which will muddy the waters, and everything will even look more and more AI as time goes on, because there's already becoming so much AI out there that it's going to be like AI learning on itself. And so it's going to look even more like AI generated. And I think that goes the same with music, the same with everything it creates. It's just kind of, yeah, it's just going to get more and more muddied. That already happened. I remember when ArtStation got full of stop AI posts and AI started to do them. XD funding. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not, it doesn't know any better, right? I think I did something to my detail brush. I need to reset it. If you ever accidentally, like if a brush just starts not behaving like it should, you can go select your brush, go up to the brush menu, and you can come down and say reset current brush, and it will just kind of like reset it back to its original state. There we go. Now it's working again. Just wanted to give him lower eyelid action like this. He's got this kind of cool cut around his eye. Anyway, all this fear really doesn't do well for my business of trying to teach CG, and everybody's afraid. Same with all these layoffs. It's like, it's gonna be okay. But just I know it's hard not to be afraid of it. But I tend to look at the positive in everything. I try anyway. Like I said, I'm super excited about the collectibles industry and the 3D printing and all that, where it's headed. And I'm also excited for independent development of games too. And big studios, you know. I mean, the big studio that I was at forever, Avalanche, they're creating Hogwarts Legacy, and that game, I think it's now pushed $1 billion in sales. So, you know, there's still room for games, that's for sure. They're not going anywhere. They're not using AI. I mean, they might be using some to help them out, but for the most part, it's not like they're replacing character artists with AI. To me, that's just silly. Okay. He's looking way better with his eyeballs in place. Good job, Hammer. Okay, let's get his breather holes going. Let's save it. Let's save this as 11 again. All right, thanks, Neil. Yeah, I wonder if I can post. Well, it's in the description on YouTube, so it doesn't really matter too much. If 3D printing sculpts could become kind of like comic artists, original traditional art, digital versus physical, etc., be interesting. Still might be reliant on original IP popularity. Yeah, So, I mean that's what NFTs were supposed to be, you know? They were supposed to create an original that had value, and it still kind of works. Hey Xiao, how are you? Yeah, yeah. I was like, man, I want to do more Infinity style characters, but his legs are outstretched so far that they wouldn't really fit on an Infinity base very well. I'd have to kind of give it a weird base, I think. But I really, really love this pose. He's cool. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. I can't talk today. Blah, blah. You guys, Zhao is an amazing character artist. If you should go check out his art station. And he is, I guess I should say was. It's like when the student has surpassed the teacher. But Zhao was one of my OG students. Yeah, put him on a surfboard, like some Star Wars surfboard. Rachel Glenn, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy it. Been working for Disney these last couple months doing toys for them. Awesome. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. That's great, Joe. That's awesome. I'll have to bug you about that. Let's see how that's going for you. Do you happen to be working with John Quinn for some reason? I just have to ask because I know John and he works in the toy division, and he's also great, and he's also one of my students. Whoops. What if fear of being replaced was just a distraction? What if the solution to not be replaced was to keep creating emotional pieces customer can see themselves in? Exactly. Exactly. Well said, Tristan. Because yeah, AI doesn't really, it has no emotion, right? So it's not gonna, it just knows lighting and composition pretty well, you know? And I would use the lighting composition as a tool to teach yourself good lighting composition. But it can't do like anatomy very well. It does, it really messes anatomy up sometimes. Not working with John, but I know who you're talking about. I spoke to him once, but I think he works in another department. Oh, awesome. Okay. Breather holes. I keep getting distracted with things. Okay, I'm gonna do, of course I'm doing these asymmetrically. So I'm gonna kind of just, looks like I have enough geometry there to work with. Looks like I have enough. I agree with the horse analogy. There are customers that just prefer traditional things because we don't have to worry about them being replaced. You know, I actually thought that would happen, and it still might eventually happen with electric cars, you know? It's like going from gas to electric. Um, that could be a change, but it sounds like not quite. I don't think people are quite ready for that yet, or our government is not ready for that yet. Yeah, AI use my original hands before joining the workshop as reference. Let's see. Okay, I think what I want to do is these look like like sinew or something, like stretchy, like something in there. So what I'm going to do is take this and mask it and push it in and then create new objects and stick them in there, I think. People still buy traditional art, and people still love and miss 2D animated films and claymation. I mean, yeah, maybe it's not quite as popular as it used to be, but you know, there's a wish for that traditional style art. And I honestly, like I think somebody said, I think it'll make traditional art made by humans worth more. You know, yeah, maybe fewer people will be doing it, but it won't be as like, I don't know, samey, I guess. Because I don't know that AI will ever be able to create original anything. It's always about copying, right? They feel, why should I pay you when I could have brought it and done it myself? Yeah. There's a reason why places require people to disclose if they are using AI, because they're a group of people with buying power that only rewards effort. Yep. Hold on a second. I got to turn my lights on. It's getting dark in here. Hey Siri, lights on. No. There we go. I didn't realize my lights were off until the sun went behind a cloud. Those people like myself value scarcity and rarity, yeah. And handmade stuff, right? So if I turn down the power on my smooth brush, but turn up the density, I can just add density without actually smoothing it. But I do want to smooth it. It reminds me of ET and Earthworm Jim, thanks. Always come back to passion versus money. Just need to find a comfortable balance. Yep. And like I said, there'll be those consumers that don't care how it was made. They just want to consume it, you know, especially if it's cheaper. But then there's those people that they want their Mercedes Benz, and they want, you know, they want it to be created by someone with loving hands, that kind of thing. So I think there'll be room for it, I guess, is my point. I don't want this so flat in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use inflate, but I'm going to use inverse inflate. We built to adapting to anything that comes our way. Yeah, creatures of convenience is what I like to say. So I'm using inflate. Yeah, I'm trying to I've been having some health issues, so I'm trying to do like a keto-ish diet. Keto-ish. And it's just interesting to me that we're such creatures of habit that we'll eat what's convenient rather than what's good for us. And that's what I've done most of my life, you know? Like sure, it's better for you to like hunt and take out an animal or something. Like I was just thinking about, you know, history. rather than like eat berries. But if there are berries available, you're going to eat those because it's so much easier. Even though it might not be just as good for you as, like, say, hunting, you know. AI that is set to self-learn actually drives itself crazy and hallucinates constantly. Yeah, it does. That's what I was saying. When it starts to, there's so much AI out there in the world that it starts to train on itself. What happens when you mix colors together, all the colors of the rainbow? What happens when you mix them together? They become brown, like this guy. He's all colors at once, brown. And that's kind of where you have to set up, you kind of have to isolate AI into its own room, as it were, so it doesn't train on itself and get into, you know, what are they called? Infinite loops. Okay. Still love watching your process, Shane. I was in your very first character workshop class. I got laid off from the game industry, making me feel like looking into where else I can use my skill set. I haven't been back in the workshop in a while. Are there still lessons in there for 3D printing or toys prep? Yeah. Hey, visual. Yeah. And hello, welcome back. That's awesome. It's not awesome that you got laid off, but it's awesome that you were actually able to get a game gig, if just for a while. But yeah, I would say you can either use your skills in maybe creating your own game, like I was talking about earlier. You know, I don't know if you have a passion for doing that at all, but that is an option. Or helping out like independent developers. It tends to not pay as well though, but you do have to wear more hats, so it's more fun, and things change a lot, so you're not just one cog in a big machine. You're more part of it, which is fun. It's kind of more fulfilling that way, more rewarding, but maybe less rewarding monetarily. But to answer your question, I do have some lessons in there that covers 3D printing, and I'm also working on one that I need to finish. Zhao works absolutely incredible. You guys really should see his work. It's different. Yeah, it's super clean, super clean. Yeah, if you haven't been in there for a while, let me just kind of show you. 1 second. Show you a little behind the scenes here. If you're interested in this course, it's available for sale right now. But it comes with a lot of courses. This is my mentorship if you're interested in the mentorship, but this is the main workshop now. This is the old one that you probably saw when you first joined a long time ago. It's been 8 years. Can you believe that? It's been out for 8 years. But this is the original, and it's still viable. It uses a Dynamesh workflow rather than a Sculptris Pro workflow. That's about the only difference. And then this is a full character walkthrough, a new one. So this is like 66 hours of a full game character, including substance painter texturing and stuff like that. This is the 3D printing one that I got to finish. And there's some Q&A replays and industry pro interviews, and like this is your first day in ZBrush kind of a thing. So if you go into this one, the original one, then I kind of changed it up a little bit for reasons, but if you scroll down to the bottom here, there's 3. There's prep for 3D printing part 1 and 2. and then checking your print for mesh errors. Oh, Zhao, I still have your, I was looking at this today. I still have some of your old like student training. Like, so I would let some of my students create some training for other students, and here's Zhao's stylized hair method. And I think you created one more. I can't remember. But yeah, these are some old old ones. Anyway, it's fun to see. I still remember the day I won your course way back in the day with ZBrush Summit. Yeah. So you can still log in. Your login still works. When I said lifetime access, I meant it. Not I mean lifetime access for the course, not my lifetime or your lifetime, but you know, lifetime access for the course. And it's been 8 years, so but these days I'm kind of focusing a little bit more on my mentorship and less on the course, but I'm still dedicated to finishing that Lion-O. I just got to get these freelance jobs out of the way first, and then I will. Okay. Yeah, if you want to check that out, it's in there. And if you haven't picked up the course yet, it's still available right now, and it's still the original price that I sold it for way back 8 years ago. I haven't really changed the price that much. So yeah, and I've added all that new content. when 8 years ago, it was just that Kate course, just the girl. Now I've added all that extra stuff. Okay, so let's do this. Let's grab this kind of orangish color. I never intended on it lasting that long, or you know, that wasn't the idea, but it's been amazing. And it's allowed me to do it full time for the last 8 years, so yeah, I really appreciate all of those who have purchased it and participated. And I always like to say your success is my success. So it's so great seeing when people find opportunities after taking the course, and yeah, it's amazing. Okay, split unmasked points. Yeah, 8 years, man. I sent you some really shitty sculpts I'd done before joining your course. I remember that. Oh man. Yeah, this is kind of what I had in mind here. I like to keep things separate if I can, just because it creates such a cleaner sculpt. I'm all about the clean. I'd love to go back to the characters because I'm kind of stuck with hard surface stuff on my work for 3 years already. It makes me sad I even bought an iPad specifically for sketching characters. Yeah, even if you just want to do it on your own, you know, I feel like everybody has an artistic bucket that they have to fill to be satisfied in their lives, you know. Even people that claim they're not artistic, I still think they have that. And so I think you need to find like some kind of a hobby, whether it be sculpting or drawing or playing an instrument or whatever it is, to fill that bucket. But if you're not being fulfilled at work, because a lot of people hope that they'll get that bucket filled during their day job, but it's not always the case. Okay, auto groups. Oh, come on. Is that not? Okay, I guess it is doing it. AI is like a computer. It can only create what we feed it. That's why they need our artists to train it, so it has a library to pull from. Yep. When it evolves, so do we, because we are competitive beings by nature. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? That being said, Tristan, I have to say, let me just throw this out there. Um, you shouldn't compete with other artists. You should look at them for inspiration, but don't treat it as a competition. Only be in competition with yourself. That's my advice for that. And yeah, humans are competitive in nature, but try and just be a better version of yourself each time. And don't be sad when you go to, say, look at ArtStation and you see some incredible art, because it's very, very easy to tell yourself you'll never be that good when it's a lie. You know, don't be that person that like don't talk down to yourself, kind of a thing. Just go, oh man, I can't wait until I'm that good someday. You know, it's hard to do, but it's important. Okay. Sorry, there's my advice for the day. Come on. Could you just snap in place, please? Yeah, that's looking fun. Look at that. It's like the stretchy breather hole stuff. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. It's the light way to say it. I'm begging for characters organic stuff. I absolutely have no time outside my work. At least I've made some charms recently, like cartoonish cats. Well, there you go. Yeah, just you got to do something, or else you'll just drive yourself crazy. You know, it doesn't have to be some professional work or portfolio ready or anything like that. It just has to be satisfying, and it helps if you feel proud of it when you've finished it. You know. You don't have to be, but it helps. It helps a lot. That's kind of the goal. Is so you're not just rushing. You know, you're taking your time, trying to do a good job with whatever it is you decided to do with your spare time. Trying to get these shapes to actually look like holes. Okay. So now I kind of want to put these, let's see, CBC. Let's do it again. BCB. There we go. That was backwards. That's clay buildup. I don't usually use clay buildup too often, but for specific things like this, it's kind of perfect. But I need more resolution. Yeah, okay. Let's turn Sculptris Pro back on. Just go ahead and fill this on in. You got to be careful that you don't just keep going with your resolution higher and higher, because eventually your machine's gonna not like you anymore, and it'll either scream at you, like the fans will kick in and be like, yeah, or it'll just lag and not perform too well. But we're almost to time today. I'm going to turn down this intensity a little bit. I want to build this up, but not too fast. See, the thing I don't really care for with the clay buildup is how much extra information it adds. I'm trying to keep this clean. See, and it just wants to be messy. That's its thing. Which is fine if you're trying to like rough stuff in, like anatomy or something, you know? Or if you're trying to do like fine art, you're trying to figure out a head, and you're just wanting to rough stuff out. Yeah, just experiment. That's the word I'm looking for. See, otherwise you just have to build it up, smooth it down, build it up, smooth it down. But yeah, we have a massive meeting next Wednesday. We all wonder what news it'll bring. Yeah, a nervous meeting. I've been there. You can also sell courses online, sell avatars for people, or create VTuber characters for streamers. Yeah, there's so many opportunities you can find, you know. So many things. And I've just recently found that some of the like companies in China are reaching out to individual artists and trying to offer them like single character manufacturing. Like I just saw that today, like with my buddy Steven Anderson. I need to reach out to him and see. He's a streamer on here. Steven is, and I saw that he just barely had one of his characters made into a toy, not just a 3D print, but actual manufactured toy. And that's super exciting. So that's what I'm talking about. Independent artists having the tools to create their own like professional products, you know, whether it be a short film or a toy or whatever. That is just super exciting to me. So what I'm hoping happens is like we'll see more independent filmmakers and more independent like television producers and short films and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm interested in seeing, instead of like ginormous big Hollywood productions. I mean, there's a place for those too, but not every single movie has to be that, you know. There's the Blair Witch projects and like the Stranger Things, and you know, that just lower budget stuff that can be just as great or better in some cases. I love clay tubes for muscles, already giving you a texture. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like when you're doing realism or you're experimenting or you're trying to get those muscle fibers happening. Yeah. All right, you guys, this is where we ended up today. I think we're almost done. I don't think I'll do another session with this guy unless I decide to make a base for him. I may finish him out on my own channel just so I can, because I like to, when I stream here on Maxon's channel, I like to keep it in ZBrush, Maxon product, you know? So I may stream the rendering and stuff over on my channel. So if you want to see that, make sure you go over there. The link's in the description here. Go over to my YouTube channel and hit subscribe so you'll be notified when I go live. It really helps me out, helps the channel out. Yeah, so let's see. All these are passive incomes. You make it once and it has a lingering positive effect, assuming you market it to the group of people that care about it. Absolutely. Thanks, Flippy. I really appreciate it. Independent studios are probably where it's at now. Have you seen Spice Frontier? I haven't. That's the kind of stuff I want to see kick off. Exactly. Like I feel like independent studios can be risky because they have passionate people behind them and they don't have to, you know, take that big of a risk because all the tools, most of the tools are available for free to make those, you know. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. I will be streaming again on my channel next Tuesday, same time, noon Pacific time until 2 o'clock Pacific time. So if you want to catch me over there, sculpting a different character over there, but I might be bringing this guy over there. So we'll see how it goes. And thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. All right, cheers. Thanks, Neil.